Video games are meant to be a great escape from the real world, but sometimes companies involved in those games decide to bring the real world into the gaming world in the most obnoxious ways possible. Yeah, what's up everybody, ChaosGaming. Today, we're going to be looking at some video game lawsuits. Well, they were just plain dumb. And one of the dumbest, we're just going to get into it. I don't even want to wait. Universal Studios versus Nintendo. Let's start things off with one of my favorites. I mean, in the early 80s, Nintendo was starting to make a name for themselves with arcade games like Donkey Kong. In fact, Donkey Kong was such a smash hit that it got the attention of Universal Studios, who thought the game was a ripoff of King Kong. So what did they do? They filed a lawsuit. Universal filed a copyright infringement suit against Nintendo in 1982, claiming the Japanese developer had used King Kong's likeness without their permission. It actually got all the way to court, but you know what they discovered once they got in the courtroom? Universal didn't actually own the rights to King Kong. King Kong was a public domain at that time, meaning even if Nintendo had ripped off the character, they weren't breaking any laws in order to do so. Universal lost the case and were forced to pay Nintendo $1.8 million in damages. I mean, kind of serves them right. If you guys enjoy the gaming content here on the page, do me a favor. Drop a like, make sure you have those notifications turned on, and share this with a fellow gamer. Next up, Craig Smallwood versus NCSoft. Now, can you sue a developer for making a game that's too addicting? Well, apparently so. A while back, a man named Craig Smallwood became addicted to an MMORPG called Lineage 2. I've never heard of it personally. He alleges he logged over 20,000 hours into the game over a 5-year period, and he is now unable to live life normally because of its addictive nature. So, Smallwood decided to file suit against the game's developer, NCSoft. According to the court documents, Smallwood was demanding $3 million in damages. He alleged the developers made the game too addictive on purpose, and they did not warn the player in advance. I don't know about that one. And I really don't know about the next one either. The Romantics versus Activision. Now, for those that don't know, the Romantics are a rock band who had some popularity in the 80s and 90s. In the early 2000s, they licensed the rights to their song What I Like About You to Activision for use in the first Guitar Hero game. As you may remember, the early Guitar Hero games actually used cover versions of songs instead of original recordings in order to make the game feel more like a garage band. The Romantics signed off on Activision's cover band re-recording What I Like About You, but once the game came out, they claimed the cover version of the song was too similar to the original, so they filed a lawsuit. You heard it right. A band agreed to let a cover band record their song, but then sued them because they did their job too well. Thankfully, the judge thought this was ridiculous, just like you and I probably do, and threw the case out. Next up at number 7, Solid Oak Sketches versus 2K Games. Let's get ready to rumble. Have you ever wondered what the legalities are regarding tattoos in video games? Well, here we go. Early 2016, a New York tattoo parlor actually filed a suit against 2K Games over this. Solid Oak Sketches had done work for LeBron James, and obviously, 2K Games had recreated all of LeBron's tattoos for the latest NBA 2K game, and apparently, the parlor saw this as 2K using their copyrighted material without permission. Now, it definitely started an interesting conversation over who actually owns the tattoo, the artist or the customer, and since this lawsuit, 2K Games has altered the tattoos of many NBA players in an attempt to avoid future lawsuits. But wouldn't that be LeBron's property if it's on his skin? I don't know. Next up, Dave MIRRA versus Acclaim Entertainment. Now, if you know your gaming history, which I know a lot of you do, you know that Acclaim Entertainment has gotten into a lot of trouble over the years for their publicity stunts and horrible brand deals. In the early 2000s, Acclaim cut a deal with a professional BMX rider named Dave MIRRA to make a licensed game, similar to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. They were trying to capitalize. According to the interviews, the game was pitched to Dave as a mature comedy game, similar in tone to the movie Airplane. However, the end product was the infamous BMXXXX, and it was a biking game full of nudity and bad jokes, and it was obviously not the game Dave MIRRA signed up for. So during development, MIRRA's lawyers contacted Acclaim to get his name and likeness taken off the project, at which point Acclaim said nope and went ahead with the game. MIRRA then filed suit against Acclaim and forced him to take his name off, and BMXXXX launched in late 2002 with no reference to Dave MIRRA, and it was promptly forgotten by the gaming world because, shocker, it was a piece of crap. At number 5 today, do you remember the Olsen twins? Full House? Well, the Olsen twins versus Acclaim Entertainment. Yep, Acclaim's up again. That's right, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen have also found themselves in court against Acclaim. Now, the details of this one are a little messy, but the short version is Acclaim was developing a video game called Mary-Kate and Ashley in Action that was obviously using the twins' likeness. However, during development, Acclaim once again said, nope, we're not taking it out, and they canceled the game without ever paying royalties to the twins for their likeness in the brand during development. This is obviously a big no-no. I guess they thought since the game wasn't coming out, they don't have to pay the royalties anymore, but if you know anything about business, that's not how it works. The Olsen twins filed suit against Acclaim for $500,000, which they won, and Acclaim filed bankruptcy soon afterwards. Now let's get into some big ones. Activision versus Netflix. Yeah, recent one. Very common in the business world for big companies to kind of trade employees. Once a high-ranking employee's contract is up at a big tech company, they're very likely going to get snatched up by a different one. This happened in late 2020 when Spencer Newman, the former CFO of Activision, was hired by Netflix. Now, weirdly, Activision decided to file suit against Netflix over this, claiming they poached Newman. Now, his contract with Activision was up in April, but he decided to leave just a little early. But the company claims Netflix attempted to hire him before this, so they sued them. Now, I don't know about you guys. This one seems a little petty to me unless there's this hard evidence that Netflix actually poached him. This seems like two big tech companies just sizing each other up and throwing money at lawyers. Then again, the lawyers are the winners. Now, you want to talk about big. Next one is gargantuan. Epic Games versus Apple. What do we think about the whole free Fortnite thing? What do you guys think? Do you think it was a publicity stunt? What do you think? Earlier this year, Epic Games filed suit against Apple after they removed Fortnite from the iOS store. According to the records, Epic had added a new monetization method into the mobile version of Fortnite that violated Apple's terms and conditions, which resulted in the game being pulled. Now, Epic then went on this gigantic tirade with YouTube ads and everything about how Apple was the worst company ever, all the while seemingly oblivious to the fact that Epic themselves, they kind of do the same thing in the Epic Games Store. The legal battle between Epic and Apple, it's been very uneventful so far, despite the show Epic is putting on. And if you're like me, chances are you probably see through the show. With how quickly it all happened and how obviously wrong it was, I think it's safe to say this is just probably a big publicity stunt. At number 2, let's stick with Epic Games. Actually, let's just close out with Epic Games. Number 2, Quebec parents versus Epic Games. Over the last few years, we've seen quite a few parents try to publicly blame video games for their bad parenting. Case in point, this lawsuit from last year. 2 parents from Quebec filed a class action lawsuit against Epic Games, claiming Fortnite was as addictive as cocaine, and that Epic Games was targeting children with their marketing. Yeah, duh. They also accused Epic of hiring psychologists in order to make the game as addicting to young minds as possible and get them to buy microtransactions. So what did these parents do? Well, they wanted Epic to refund their child's V-Buck purchases plus about $1,000 worth of interest. As you can probably imagine, well, the lawsuit didn't go very far. And at number 1, probably the biggest, Epic Games versus PUBG Corporation. I'm sure you guys remember this. Now, PUBG was nowhere near the first Battle Royale game, but they were one of the first big ones. A few months after the initial explosion of PUBG, Epic Games released their take on the concept with Fortnite Battle Royale, which rose to popularity a few months after launch thanks to various streamers and YouTubers promoting it. Well, the PUBG Corp, they weren't happy about this. They decided it would be a fantastic idea to sue Epic Games for copyright infringement of a copyright that doesn't exist. PUBG did not invent the Battle Royale game mode, nor is it something that can even be copyrighted. It's just a case of the PUBG Corporation wanting to eliminate competition, and it did not take long for the lawsuit to be dropped. Now, I've seen plenty of petty moves in the gaming industry over the years. This was a whole new level. You can't copyright a game mode, especially when your game wasn't even the one that invented said mode. And there you have it. Those are some crazy video game lawsuits. They're probably going to get crazier as time goes on as well. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, share it around, and I'll see you soon.